AAA Live! AAA Live! AAA Live!
Ang palatuntunang maghahatid sa inyo ng kaalaman sa edukasyon upang magbigay liwanag at gabay sa ating mga mag-aaral at magulang.
Where your academic goals will be advanced and achieved. AAA Live!
Lilinang ng inyong talento at huhubog ng inyong husay upang magtagumpay sa karerang tatahakin.
AAA Live!
At ngayon, narito ang guro ng bayan, Attorney AMIHAN April ALCAZAR.
Good evening, this is Attorney AMIHAN April ALCAZAR. Thank you for viewing with us AAA Live, where your academic goals are advanced and achieved. So for tonight, we are here with students of the University of Tennessee, Marlin. And these are very selected students because they are part of the so-called Governor's School. So they'll be joining us for tonight. So you can live follow and subscribe to us at Katipunan channel. And of course, we will be viewing this together with the other segments of our show for tonight. So welcome. Can you please give us a little bit of introduction about yourself? We have Miss Kelsea, Koonce, and Mr. Maddox, Marlin. And please introduce yourselves as well as what particular course you're currently studying and the year level that you're in right now. Miss Kelsea?
Yes, my name is Kelsea Koonce. I'm currently a senior at the University of Tennessee at Martin, studying agricultural business communications with a minor in political science.
I see. Thank you so much, Mr. Maddox.
Hi, I'm Maddox Marlin. I will be a high school senior this coming fall and currently at the Governor's School program at the University of Tennessee at Martin. I am enrolled in an agricultural economics class.
I see. Thank you so much for taking time out to join us for tonight. So let me start first of all by asking you, how and when did you know about the Governor's School? So I think we'll start with Kelsea because I was informed that she was also part of the Governor's School before when she was in high school. When was this, Kelsea?
Yes, so I was a scholar to the Governor's School program in the summer of 2017. I became acquainted with this program in 2016. My mentor through high school was a year older than me, and she went through this program, and instantly I knew it was something that I wanted to do. So I went through the program in 2017. My focus was in precision agriculture, and I took a class in natural resource management. And here I am 4 years later, and I'm now serving as a counselor. The program is so rewarding. I just knew that I wanted to give back to it. And it's been a really awesome experience to work with these high school students who are experiencing what I got to experience 4 years ago.
Okay, very good, Kelsea. So did you also have the same kind of information given to you, Maddox?
Mine kind of came from a variety of different sources. I had some friends who were involved in different Governor's School programs, so I was aware that the concept as a whole existed. And when I went and spoke with my guidance counselor and my agricultural advisor back at school, they both referred me to the Governor's School for Agricultural Sciences at Martin, and immediately I knew I wanted to apply for it.
Okay, so can you also tell the audience when and how did you actually have an interest in agricultural sciences? Because both of your interests and courses are kind of related to that, Maddox. Do you remember as a young person being interested in agriculture?
When I grew up, when I was young, I wasn't necessarily surrounded by agriculture. I've grown up in the suburbs for my entire life. And so that was a part of me that I did not find up until I started high school. And when I started high school, I decided I might as well take an agriculture class. And I really ended up loving it. And I realized just how much that agricultural processes can encompass. And I took some of my personal interest, I'm very big on technology, and I found ways to apply that in agriculture. And the two make a very beautiful harmony with each other, I think.
Kelsey, did you have a different experience from that of Maddox?
I definitely think mine's a little different. I grew up in rural Northwest Tennessee. So standing on my front porch, there was nothing but wheat fields and cornfields in every direction.
Where was this? Which town is this?
I'm from a little town called New Bern, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So my
We're
family
growing up in an agricultural country.
Yes. So my family wasn't involved in agriculture. My grandparents had some chickens, but it was definitely a part of growing up for me. When my mother got remarried, when I was in middle school, we moved on to a beef cattle farm. And at the time, I hated it. I was not going to be an ag kid. But I took a chance on it when I started high school, and I decided to pursue it as a path just to get me through. And by the time I was a sophomore in high school, I was in love with it. So ultimately, being around agriculture led me to a career path that I'm searching for. And it led me to a passion that I didn't know I had. Agriculture has become an ever-growing part of me. My friends call me Farmer Kelsey, just to joke around. But
Really?
I love being involved in this industry. It's so rewarding to see where our food comes from and the technologies that are changing our world as we know it.
So as you know, UT Martin is actually 10th in the United States so far as the ranking of the agriculture faculty is concerned. So this governor's school, of course, is very selective. Can you just run us through the selection process that you had to undertake? Maybe start with Kelsey and then Maddox, because it might have been a little bit different from 4 years ago and currently. Kelsey?
Right. When I applied for this program, I had to submit an application which included 2 essays. I can't tell you exactly what my questions were. That was a long time ago. I know that one was the most pressing issue in agriculture at the time. And for me, that was the beef cattle market. It's the part of agriculture I was so involved in at the time. I also had to submit recommendation letters from my ag teacher, from an outside source, and from my guidance counselor. And after that, it was a lot of waiting to find out if I would be accepted into the program or not.
Okay. Was it very similar, Maddox, or slightly different?
It was very similar to what Kelsey had to undertake. I also had the application and the teacher references, as well as the 2 essays. But on top of that, I also had a resume that I had to fill out and submit with my application.
So from even the get-go of making that application, what sort of experiential learnings did you take away from that whole experience of going through the process of being selected for governor's school? Maddox?
Well, I think when I was going through that process, it really kind of reminded me of how much I really am interested in agriculture and how much I really did want to involve myself into this. I wasn't going to apply for governor's school and not necessarily really care about it. I wanted to do it, and I had my whole heart put into it. And I think that's something that definitely reflects in my application, because I really came here because I want to learn more about agriculture and many of the agricultural processes that I would not normally have the opportunity to see. And I think that whole process really reminded me of that.
Okay. Kelsey, you talked about waiting for quite some time. How long before you were given the decision that you were going to be part of governor's school?
Right. I believe when I applied, the applications were due December 15th, somewhere around there. And I think I got my letter mid-February. So it was 2 months, and being an impatient person already, I was checking the mailbox twice a day, every day.
Okay, suspense, right? So after you were already selected, what sort of preparations did you have to undertake before you eventually came in the month of June to the university? Kelsey?
I think for me, it was getting to know the people that I was going to be in governor's school with. You know, I knew a lot of them just from having similar ag backgrounds and running across one another in high school events. But for me, I wanted to know a little bit.
High schools, correct? They were from different high schools,
Yes,
not
ma'am. Different high schools. When you're involved with the National FFA or Future Farmers of America, you get to know a lot of people. So it was a lot of bonding between us before coming to governor's school and just preparing myself to be away for that long. You know, I'd never been away from my parents for a whole month. So it was a lot of just making sure I was gonna be okay. My birthday fell in the time of my governor's school. So it was kind of a shock to my system being away from family for so long and for such a big event in my life. But I spent the few months preparing and getting myself ready, triple checking my packing list, and eventually came to governor's school that June.
Okay, and Maddox, how about you fairly recently? What sort of preparations did you make before coming over this month?
Well, I talked with my ag teacher a lot about it because she was a governor's school student several years ago when she was enrolled in college. And so she had been through a process, although it's a little bit different now, but she kind of helped me prepare for that. And then talking with my mother, she was a little bit frazzled at having me away for an entire month, but she had a very big part to play in helping me get ready for that. I can't say, though, that I had the same experience about meeting some of my fellow colleagues here, even though I am very big into FFA, especially at our school. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic that has hit the world in the past year, it disrupted a lot of those processes that we would normally do with FFA. And as such, I wasn't able to connect with as many of these people as I might have been able to.
But still, social interactions previous to actually coming here. So now that you're actually here, what sort of expectations did you have in terms of the possible experiences that you might be undergoing during this very immersive process? Okay, I'll start with Kelsey first and on to you, Maddox. Okay, Kelsey, what were your expectations before coming over?
I really didn't know what to expect the first go around when I came as a student. Again, I was really involved with animals and livestock in high school and very much already had my mindset on a business course. And so coming to governor's school, I knew it would be my step out into the world to see what the industry had to offer. So I went a completely different path. I did precision agriculture and natural resource management. So I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been around row crops. I'd never really dug into plant science. I just knew that I was coming in for a month of immersive education in an industry that I was passionate about. So I came in open-minded, and the program speaks for itself and what it gave me. Coming in as a counselor, you know, it's been a little rocky, worried about COVID restrictions, but I can genuinely say that this program this summer has been so rewarding for me. It's so much more than I could have ever expected. Coming out of a school year that was completely socially distanced and mask on campus all the time, we've had a great time and gotten to see some things that even I didn't get to see as a scholar, things I hadn't even seen as a college student. So this experience has met and exceeded my expectations.
Maddox, so a little bit different on your end, as you were saying from last year, everyone was socially distanced and then some of the events were canceled or did not proceed. So how then were your expectations coming over for this month? And so far, you're undergoing this process. How has it been for you?
Well, similarly to Kelsey, I really wasn't sure what to expect either. I had known maybe a general idea of what we might be doing, but again, just like it has completely exceeded any expectations I might have had. And the opportunities that we've been presented with have been absolutely fascinating. I've been out on a multitude of farms now, which is something completely new to me because in my part of Tennessee, we're only surrounded by livestock. So being able to go see and actually get up close to all these crops, I think that's something that's really personally been exciting for me.
Would you consider that to be the highlight of this experience so far?
Oh man, I don't know if I could choose just one, honestly, but it's definitely been something. Yes, the entire experience thus far has been very memorable.
And Kelsey, what's the difference in terms of the memorable experience when you were a scholar as against being a counselor right now?
Right. So I think my most memorable moment as a scholar, again, I spent my 17th birthday here at Governor's School, my first go around. So in my book, that's always going to be my most memorable experience. As a counselor, it's a little different. As excited as they are when they come off a farm or off a tour, those moments don't give me the same feeling, in a sense that my most memorable moments from this month are the looks of pride on their faces coming out of an exam that they aced. The feeling that I'm making a difference in the lives of high school students is something that I'll take with me forever, whether that's the pure joy of them when they've completed a project or just seeing them work together on a service project. Every part of seeing them enjoying their time in a program that I credit much of my success to. As a counselor, I couldn't ask for anything else.
So would you consider that the Governor's School had such an impact on your decision eventually to study agricultural sciences, as you've mentioned, and now specifically in the University of Tennessee, Martin? And I'll get to Maddox in a while with that question. Kelsey?
I would definitely say that. I was really undecided on my future at the time. And I mean, every kid is. I'm still undecided on my future in some aspects. Coming to Governor's School showed me what UT Martin had to offer, and eventually is the reason I fell in love with this campus. But additionally, so I saw a side of the industry that I'd never seen before in coming to Governor's School. My plan before then was to sell crop insurance. And when I got to Governor's School, I saw all the opportunities. I'm currently planning to work in agricultural policy and communications because I got to see it firsthand when I was at Governor's School through the Tennessee Farm Bureau.
Okay. And Maddox, how then do you think this whole experience will inform your decision-making for the future?
As I've kind of stated before, it's definitely reinforced the love that I do have for agriculture, as well as introducing me to a widespread of agricultural ideas that I've never really had the opportunity to explore before. And taking the class I'm taking, agricultural economics here at Martin, has kind of blended two passions I've had into one. And the professors here are all great, and they're really helping to make this Governor's School a fantastic program, but also helping us learn about agriculture in the process. And it has, again, reinforced that idea that I do want to do something agriculturally related in the future.
So I think this whole experience, of course, as you've mentioned, had really immersed you and reinforced your interest in agricultural sciences. But let's not now talk about the whole immersive experience, because it's not only about the field of study that is of interest when we talk about educating students. Let's also talk about your experiences in interacting with your colleagues in the Governor's School and how the potentials for leadership, as well as interpersonal behavior that is going to be crucial in your future, have been trained in Governor's School. Kelsey?
Yes, so I came to Governor's School with a group of girls who I considered my best friends at the time from all across Tennessee. And I came in thinking they would be my only friends the whole month. But little did I know that the whole month would be full of meeting new people. I grew close to every person in my Governor's School class, people who I still reach out to now studying different fields of agriculture across the state and even some in other parts of the nation. But additionally, Governor's School let me meet people who could advance my career. The director of public policy at Tennessee Farm Bureau is a close colleague of mine now because I met him at Governor's School. I met my now professors at Governor's School, and it just helped me build my network. I made connections here that have helped me along the way, whether that was recommendation letters when I applied to UT Martin, or someone to call when I had an issue and needed some advice, or even when I was writing papers and needed a source. They've always been so helpful. And that's something I really admire about this program, is that we immerse students in a world of communication, there are constantly people reaching out, wanting to help these students. And just like they helped me as a student, the network that you grow from Governor's School, people remember you when you go through this program. They remember that the work ethic that you had. And it's really beneficial, not only in terms of finishing out high school and starting college, but in life in general.
And Maddox, how about this experience with this group of scholars for this year?
Well, unlike Kelsey, I came here knowing not a single face, but I can confidently say that I can name all 31 other scholars here. And that's something that I think is very rewarding, because when I came here, I was worried that I wouldn't necessarily have the agricultural experience that several of these kids might have. But I realized after my time here thus far that that didn't necessarily matter, because we're all here because of one single shared interest, that being agriculture and the pursuit of knowledge in agriculture. We're all here to learn about it, and that's something that's been really nice, and it's helped me connect to people who might be out of my comfort zone, who I might not necessarily interact with, and that's been great. Due to the pandemic, the Tennessee FFA State Convention, which would normally be held in March, has been pushed to 2 days after Governor's School ends. So me and several of the other scholars here will part ways this next Friday, and then we'll see each other on Monday at State Convention. So it's connections that I don't want to lose, and I don't plan to. I intend to keep interacting with several of the fellow scholars here, as well as keeping in touch with some of the professors should I choose to come to Martin in the future. But it's been a very rewarding social experience as well.
I think Maddox made a good point that I want to touch on.
Yes.
When people hear Governor's School for Agricultural Sciences, they assume it's a bunch of farm kids. And I think it's really important to point out that some of our students don't have that agricultural background. They have a love and an interest for an industry that is so prevalent, and they take a leap of faith. You know, for me, it wasn't. I grew up around agriculture. I lived on a farm in high school. But then you have students like Maddox who have lived in the suburbs their entire life. People come from every walk of life into this program, whether that's living on a farm your entire life and saying you're coming to Gov School to get away from baling hay all summer, or you're coming straight from the city life and coming in and everyone's thinking, why in the world are you going to a school for agriculture for the summer? There are so many different groups of people represented here. It's so diverse that it's really very intricate in the relationships that we build, because everyone has a different story of why they're here and why they're choosing to pursue an interest in this field of study.
And I think that's something that really shows me part of the beauty of agriculture, in that it's something that anybody from anywhere can get involved in and find something they're really interested in within the field of agriculture. And talking with some of the scholars here, everybody has unique parts of agriculture that really appeal to them. And it's fascinating to talk with each of them individually and find out which niche of agriculture appeals to them the most, while still falling under that branch that we can all collectively understand and bond over.
Yes. So many of our viewers are students, parents, administrators, educators, and I'd like to emphasize, I think, those 2 points that you were really pointing out, like the exploration that you probably underwent before you decided to identify a specific interest of yours, why you eventually were motivated to go to Governor's School. So it's both the exploration, a process that one has to undertake to determine a specific interest, and then eventually to find an avenue or an opportunity that then provides you a richer, more substantive experience. Also, one of the important aspects of Governor's School is having this opportunity to be on campus. You know that there are very few students during this period of time, and you almost have like the whole university to yourselves, and also this particular experience, how do you think it will influence you in the future? Because it also teaches you about life skills. Kelsey?
Right. This program is so special to me. Always has been, always will be. As a student, this program definitely influenced where I was going to go in life. You know, it showed me what I wanted to pursue in agriculture, and it showed me a school that would fit my needs, that would help me in my next step of life. As a counselor, this program looks a little different. But I can genuinely say that it's given me the same experience of, it's guided my light a little. I'm a senior in college and still just a little undecided on which career path I'm going to go down. But this program has shown me that if I can make a difference in the lives of others, working, whether that's with students or with adults, and educating them on what agriculture is and how it works, then that's something that I want to do every day wholeheartedly.
So it's giving your confidence to face what the challenge is going to be after you finish your college. Whereas Maddox, in your case, you're moving on to possibly the next chapter of your life. So how do you think this life skills that you've been trained on going to assist you or help you for your future?
Well, as somebody who's never been away from home for more than a week,
Yes.
having to adjust to doing my own laundry consistently was certainly something, but I'm pretty good at it now, if I say so myself.
Yes. After 3 weeks, yes.
Yeah, at this point, I'd better be, or else there's a problem.
Exactly.
But being able to kind of immerse myself in the campus has given me a good preview of what I might experience when I do enter college, as well as certain things like time management and making sure I study enough for the classes I'm taking.
So now that both of you, one is about to leave college, Kelsey, and one is going to enter college, what's your expectation insofar as the whole college experience is concerned? And what do you hope to accomplish to prepare yourself after college? Kelsey, I think now that you've had at least 3 years of the college experience, how is that transformative for you in your life?
You know, thinking about leaving college is a scary thought. I came to Martin as a freshman, really concerned, you know, worried about living on my own and doing things for myself. And in the 3 years that I've been here, I've called this town home every day. And for me, I've grown a lot. When I look back on the girl that moved to Martin, Tennessee as a freshman in college, a very new 18-year-old, I don't even recognize that girl. My 3 years at Martin have shaped me into a very mature young woman. I've learned time management. I've learned how to take care of myself. I've grown my work ethic. So I think in the coming year or so until I do graduate, I think my preparation and my focus is going to be on transitioning from a more personal experience as a college student into a more professional mindset, getting ready to either go on to grad school or to step foot in the industry as a professional for the first time. This next year is going to be one of refining things for me, narrowing down what I want to do, what choices I'm going to make, what my next step is.
Okay, for your professional life, possibly. And Maddox, you're on the cusp of a new chapter. Looking forward to the college experience. What are your expectations?
Well, I definitely feel a little bit more relieved about certain aspects of college now. And but Governor School has really prepared me for some of those aspects I'm going to have to inevitably face, such as really making sure I get my work done in a healthy manner and, you know, not oversleeping or going to bed on time. Just a lot of those basic things.
Move and do your laundry from college onward.
Right. That's certainly something I think that was a very important life lesson that I've learned here. But I'm very excited to also be able to take a wide variety of classes that encompass my agricultural interests as well as some of my other interests that I have not necessarily been able to explore in high school. And I'm very excited to be able to interact with my professors and people who have similar interests to me as well. And I think that's something that's going to be very exciting of college.
That's good. So one of the initiatives that we also want to have with the UTM and my country, the Philippines, is in international agriculture. So we have started groundwork on that. And I do believe that the scholars and the counselors who have gone through governor's school will be good candidates in terms of preparation for going into an international foray, like an exchange visit or even a study abroad program. So what are your perspectives in so far as the opportunity for international agriculture sciences is concerned, Kelsey? Because you're thinking about like, oh, what sort of career pathway should I be taking or trajectory?
I personally have a large admiration for international study in any field. I was actually supposed to be studying agriculture in Siena, Italy last year. Unfortunately, COVID took that chance from me. But I am planning to travel abroad this coming year to Argentina to study agriculture. So opening up a pathway to the Philippines to me is an amazing opportunity for our students. I looked into studying international agriculture for a long time. It fascinates me. You know, we grew up in such an agriculturally prominent area. Tennessee is one of the top agricultural states. It's so interesting to see agriculture even in different states here in the U.S. I had the opportunity to travel to California 2 years ago and see agricultural production out there. And it seemed like a whole world away. So the opportunity to study agriculture in a different country to me is just fascinating. It's something that I hope to do even in my professional career because it's an opportunity that you don't get every day. You know, here it's all row crops and pastures full of cattle, but you don't get to see the diversity of agriculture until you take a step out of this box and take a step or a flight to a different country and get to see how their agricultural practices work.
So Maddox, how about that prospect? More than 1 week, it would need more than 1 week being away from home. Definitely.
Definitely. But I think I really enjoy studying kind of international relations between countries. And while the Philippines and America both have their unique individual cultures, they both have agriculture in common. And I think that's something that can be said about every country in the world. I think every society we have is founded upon agriculture. So even though we may have different cultures from each other, that's something where we can find a commonality with each other. And I think that really being able to experience the different ways that some countries practice agriculture compared to our own here in America is a fascinating experience. And agriculture is something that encompasses not one country, but again, the entire world at large. And I think when you start opening up your mind to that and really involving yourself in how many other countries do it, then you really start to see the impact of agriculture. And I think that's something that's very important to understand.
Very well said. So I hope that you'll be able to give a few words to our audience, mostly students, because it's very important for young people to be experiencing impressionable experiences, experiential learnings when you're very young, because they really mark you and influence you infinitely more than if you were older. So we'd really like to encourage the young people to explore and, if possible, identify an interest which they can identify as an aptitude that they will have. So Kelsey, you're almost a senior right now. So what can you say to those students who are just going to begin their studies and or making a decision just like Maddox as to what field of study they're going to be pursuing in the future or in college?
Yes, I think my biggest piece of advice is to travel, to get out of your shell. For me, I started off college as an agricultural education major, and I thought it was the right path for me. But after getting out and experiencing things, I really found a love for communications and for the policy side of things. For me, that came through a lot of things. I was really involved in organizations here on campus that showed me opportunities that I could take. But I also got involved with organizations that gave me the opportunity to get outside of Martin and outside of Tennessee. I served as a national agriculture ambassador for an organization called Agriculture Future of America. And I was able to travel the United States studying agriculture, talking to activists. And in that year, and so many plane flights, I got to see agriculture from a different perspective. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice for anyone, no matter what field of study you're looking for, no matter what. Have an open mind, get out there and look at what opportunities are out there. They're not going to come find you. You have to find them. So step out of your shell, hop on a plane, do whatever it takes, but find the thing that really sets your heart on fire, gets your passion burning. Find the thing that makes you want to get up every day like it's Christmas morning.
Very good. So Maddox, to the viewers who are right now also in that decision-making process and that period of time in high school before going to college, what can you say to those who are similarly situated with you, those who haven't yet made a decision about what they might pursue in the future?
I think it's all about taking that leap of faith. If there is something you have a mild interest in, investigate it, explore it, find out if you really do have a passion for it. And if you don't, at the very least, you learn more about it and are able to understand more about it from other people who do have a passion for it. If I had not taken agriculture on a whim my freshman year of high school, I would have never been in this position now. And it's crazy to me to even think about my life, both past and present and future, without agriculture. And I think that's something that's really important. Just throw yourself out there, find something you're interested in, take every opportunity you can, because all of them are going to be beneficial in one way or another.
Yes. So I had so much pleasure speaking to you again, young people who are so very dynamic and show a lot of potential for your future. Thank you so much for taking time out. I hope you had a very good experience with this interview. I'd also like to invite you to my next lecture, if you have the time, on June 22nd at the Paul Meek Library. That's going to be talking about bringing the world to UTM, a global affairs perspective, talk about different initiatives that we have been working on with the University of Tennessee in Martin to bring that kind of international experience to our students and stakeholders in the UTM community. So again, thank you so much. And I wish you the best of luck in all of the activities that you will still be involved in Governor's School. And I hope to meet you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. And so we'll be right back. I'm back. This is Attorney AMIHAN April ALCAZAR for AAA Live. So for today, we are being joined by the Director for Regional Centers and Online Programs of the University of Tennessee in Martin, Tennessee, USA, Miss Erica Bell. So maybe you'd like to give some greetings to our viewers who are students, parents, faculty, administrators, and other stakeholders of the education sector in the Philippines and around the world.
Welcome. As April mentioned, my name is Erica Bell, and I'm Director of Regional Centers and Online Programs here at the University of Tennessee at Martin. I've been in this role for 20 years now. I'm very passionate about higher education, and I thank you for coming together and joining us this evening. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to a fruitful discussion for today, Erica. So I think we'll have to begin with your background. As you've mentioned, you've been in this role for a long time, it seems, but I'm sure that you will remember how and when did you actually develop your interest in the field of study that you eventually took when you were in university as a young person?
Well, I was actually a transfer student myself. I transferred to UT Martin from a small community college in Northern Illinois, and I was a first generation college student. So when I began my position here in this department, I came in as a grant specialist. We were heavily grant funded, and my love for this program, my love for the students, for bringing access to higher education to the students, to the local communities, grew daily. And that's pretty much why I've never left. I have many different perspectives that I lead with. I'm an alumni. I am a first generation college student. I'm a parent of 2 college students. And I'm a serve as an adjunct instructor as well. So I try to always keep each of those perspectives in my mind within my decisions that I make daily, to ensure that we are looking from all different perspectives as to how best we can meet those communities and our students' needs.
Yeah, so you've talked about several activities and several functions that you have been doing in your particular responsibility. So what do you think were the experiential learnings that you actually undertook in order to develop the skills, competencies, and proficiencies that you now actually exhibit in your particular role in the university?
I think it actually came with just the development of programs from the ground up. Began with the concept, listening to community needs and wants, looking at it from all sides, and is this possible? If not, how can we do this differently? And just really trying to address what the ultimate goal was. And then also keeping in mind continual evaluation of the program.
Yes.
It's feet on the ground. It's, not just the development of the idea, but how can we best be successful and produce this?
Yes. So specifically, you mentioned about your own personal experiences of having been a transfer student for community colleges and now being the director for the regional center. So can you describe a little bit what would be the mission of the regional centers in relation to the whole vision or mandate of the University of Tennessee Martin?
Vision is to bring access, to bring UT Martin to those communities, to those students. There's a reason our students go to the regional centers.
Yes.
Whether it's financial, whether it's they don't have the transportation, they do not have the childcare to leave home. They're caring for elderly parents. There's a reason that they need those local centers. And so we bring that education, we bring the high quality faculty, we bring UT Martin experience to them. It also allows us to partner with non-degree programming, to offer non-credit offerings from Kid College to phlebotomy technology classes, so that the local community members can test to become, a phlebotomist in the local hospital and healthcare environment.
Can you also describe for us the relationship between the university and other post-secondary institutions such as community colleges, as well as colleges of applied technology, and specifically in the state of Tennessee? So what particular collaborations do you actually do with these other institutions?
So I think you mentioned the key word, April. It's collaboration. It's not
Yes.
competition.
Yes.
We have to work together because ultimately we're all here to serve our students.
Yes.
You know that you traveled with me to TCAT Crump, where
Yes.
we toured, and we recently developed an articulation agreement with TCAT Crump so that students that come out of their program can actually receive up to 30 credit hours here at UT Martin as a transfer student.
Yes.
Again, it's thinking outside the box. That was something that we had not done before.
Yes. Very
Took time.
innovative. Yes.
Yes, yes. Innovative, it took time. But again, keeping the students' needs in mind, and also keeping in mind that most of our students will remain in their local communities. So what is the need for progress of those communities also?
So, and right now, because of the situation also that we have all found ourselves worldwide because of the pandemic, how then did you eventually develop the online programs to become much more responsive and relevant? I'm certain that you had started it years before, but right now there's an acute sense and immediacy to making the online programs relevant and responsive to the communities.
So, we began years ago with just a few courses of interest. We had some faculty that were interested in trying it out, taking a test drive, if you will. That developed from a smattering to a small group. And then the pandemic hit. And I think we all knew that we still needed to continue to meet our students' needs where they were. And so that meant bringing education to them. And online was the best platform to do so. I think it has been enlightening for some of our faculty members and staff that online education is possible. Students can be successful. Is it for everybody? No. But there are students that have excelled in this online format because we're bringing it right to their door.
So what do you think would be like a strategic plan for the University of Tennessee Martin in terms of the development of regional centers as well as online programs in the next 5 years?
I think taking a real strong look at the degree offerings that we have and can those offerings lead to degree progression. It's not enough just to throw courses out there. We need to ensure that that's leading us somewhere. As for the regional centers, I think taking a look at the local needs and are we offering the correct programs and offering the correct degrees that our students in those communities need for growth? And if not, how can we do so? Is it possible? Many of our programs at the regional centers involve collaboration where they have courses they take on site at the regional center, but they also take some of our online courses to ensure that degree progression. So just really taking a look at what are the needs. Each center is different. The needs are going to be different. Therefore, maybe the degree offerings need to be different.
So you talk about the needs of your stakeholders, your students and the communities, right? So how then will you relate that now to the initiatives in the state of Tennessee, which is the Drive to 55 initiative of the state government, and also the provision for the so-called Tennessee Promise, and even the UT Promise?
So due to the pandemic, each of our centers have local higher education boards. We were not able to meet personally. We are kicking those back off to meet individually with each of our higher ed advisory board members. And I mentioned to one of our directors yesterday that we are all in this together to kind of get us out of this valley that we've kind of hit due to the pandemic. It's going to have to be a team effort. It cannot just be UT Martin faculty and staff. It's going to have to be our local community members. It's going to have to be collaborating with our K-12 staff and educators and administration. It's going to be collaborating with our local two-year institutions and our TCATs. How can we all come together to serve these students? We know that financially times are hard, and we need to keep that also in the back of our mind, but we also need to ensure that we're providing high quality education.
So we talked about access and equity, especially for students, right? And one of the innovative programs in the state of Tennessee will be the Governor's School, and UTM is the site of two of those vital Governor's School, one in agriculture and another one in the humanities. So how then do you see the relationship for working with the feeder schools around the state of Tennessee to ensure that you are receiving the kind of prospective students that the UTM would like to actually educate?
I think because we have high quality programs, for instance, in ag, I think UT Martin's name is known as the Ag School. We have a phenomenal chancellor. Chancellor Carver's great about communicating across the state with stakeholders and with prospective students, and he's great with working with faculty and staff here on campus. I think it's, again, listening to our K-12 partners. We have dual enrollment programs, and we serve about 1,400 students across the state. Again, collaborating with these schools, what are their course needs? Listening to the students, what are your degree interests? Trying to pair them up and trying to link a faculty member with a group of students that per se may be interested in computer science. Then we need to bring our computer science faculty to them. Whether that's through our LMS platform Canvas, whether that's, connecting by Zoom, such as we are, but really partnering with our faculty to increase awareness. And I think once students become aware of UT Martin, they fall in love.
Yes, and that's a good
thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. We get them and then we keep them, we work with them because they become part of our family.
So can you talk also about, you've mentioned about the advanced credits that high school students can take from UTM, but can you also discuss the models of dual admissions for those who are in the community colleges, and also the reverse transfer mode of transfer to the University of Tennessee?
So dual admission partnerships would be where a student begins with the two-year institution, and then once they have, for example, 12 credit hours under their belt, they would then apply for UT Martin and have guaranteed admission. And then we can begin to work with that student and ensure that they have transferability of courses, that it's a seamless transfer, that they have a point of contact, and that communication line is developed early, that trust is developed early, and then they can just flow right into that four-year institution. Along those lines, you may have some students that started a community college and then, for whatever reason, decide they want to transfer to a four-year institution within the state. Once they've completed their degree with UT Martin, we absolutely encourage them to reverse transfer back to the local community college and obtain their two-year degree. And so, for instance, my wall has a 2-year, a 4-year, and an MBA on it, in part because of collaboration, in part because I knew who to go to, and I think that's half the battle. Who is that point of person? Who can help me get to where I need to be?
Yes. So you talked about, it seems, this activities, seamless transitions, and moving back and forth in terms of like the transfer pathways. Can you describe to us the kind of student services that the university is actually able to provide to the students so that they could be guided accordingly through their educational journey?
Support services, you mean, April?
Yes, definitely.
So, for instance, at the regional centers, we have writing labs on site to help students. We have full-time English faculty that are there on site at the centers to ensure that we're providing that high-touch need. and outreach. We ensure that we have paired up with our disability services office here on campus. We have worked very closely with our student health and counseling services here on the main campus to ensure that our students that are at the centers or online can also have support if needed. We have worked to provide the Skyhawk Healthy Hawk program, which promotes, fitness and mental well-being and physical well-being, bringing that to those students also at the regional centers. We just had a meeting about it yesterday. What can we do to keep our students engaged? Those students at the centers also need to feel like they are part of a UT Martin community. I know that the chancellor is working to make visits at the beginning of the semester to each of the centers to kick off the return back to campus. And I think that will be instrumental in helping our students feel valued. And again, being reminded that they do matter.
So you've been doing a lot of the activities and these functions to ensure student success and completion rate among the students. So how do you see all of these strengths of the university being stretched now to look at international collaboration? So we've started some initiatives to really have this possibility across the Asia Pacific region. So you've mentioned many activities and outreach and regional centers and online programs being very much at the forefront of what you are doing. So how do you think this will play out in the international foray that the university can take?
So again, collaboration. We met with you and we listened to what our partner institutions' needs were. And how can we best meet that? Whether that's faculty training and development, whether that's providing some certificate programming, but listening to the needs and then thinking about where do we want to be 2 years, 5 years out? What is the ultimate goal? What is the strategic plan for our partner institution? I think we can all work together. It takes time and it takes strong collaboration, and it takes time to say, no, maybe that's not the best path. Let's look about going around and going this way. And again, just listening, active listening, and continual evaluation.
So in all of these career trajectory that you have taken and coming full circle, Erica, so what do you think would be your advice for the young people out there insofar as the kind of skills and competencies that they should be developing in order to be involved in outreach programs and extending educational expertise for the institutions that they may eventually be working with?
Again, active listening, education, continual education. I learn something every day. Just really trying to hone in on your communication skills, those soft skills, your writing skills. I think it is hard sometimes for our students. I think they feel a lot is on them, and they are sometimes hesitant to ask for help. But I think keeping it in their mind that we are here to help them. We're just an ask away, and really keeping that line of communication open, so that they feel comfortable, they feel welcomed. And then also, I think it's also mindful that we keep our students in contact with career planning and development services. What are the career options for them? And it's okay at 16 to not know what you want to do when you become an adult. That's absolutely fine. So then we work with them to ensure that they're capturing their gen ed requirements, and promoting student success and encouragement. There's never been a better time now that we need to be focused on retention and academic success, and academic readiness. Is a student really ready for this course?
Yes, from the feeder school. So would you say also that the qualities of risk-taking and adventure and being able to travel long distances are part of the qualities that you need to develop in educational outreach?
Absolutely, April. Absolutely. Yes.
Withstand long drives and
Yes.
travel.
But we have fun on those drives.
Exactly. So I think we've really come a long way in so far as educational outreach is concerned, like really taking what is the best of the educational institution and bringing it forth to the communities where we find ourselves. So how then do you see the continuing role and responsibility that we will undertake for the university in terms of innovation, Erica, in the next 5 years? For the university?
Again, I think it's keeping in mind that the ultimate goal is that we grow our programs, that we can have expansions at the centers, that we can listen to the needs, we can adjust, acclimate, that we can continue to strengthen our partnerships. I see a huge collaboration with our two-year schools, our feeder schools, and our local TCATs. I think that opportunity is going to grow and flourish. Dr. Totten and I had a meeting scheduled with another TCAT yesterday. So again, I think it's time maybe to step outside the box to look at things maybe a bit different, what can be done. But again, focused on what our students need. If having workforce and career readiness is a significant need right now, then how can UT Martin help to support that need?
So with that, we really would like to thank you for your valuable time. With all of those insights, I think the thrust, as you've mentioned, is really the mandate of student success, to put forward really the interest of student-centeredness policies and programs in the university to ensure that we are going to be responsive to the needs of our stakeholders, mainly the students of the institution. Yes. So would you like to give some few words again to our stakeholders in the education sector? And we look forward to future collaborations with you.
Thank you, April. As I close, I think it's wise to remember that as you develop programs and you begin to collaborate with local institutions at home, to keep in mind that you're always asking, as you're seated at the table, how does this affect our regional center students? How does this affect our online students? So having a full circle, how does this affect all the sectors of your institution? But I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to visit with you this evening, and I wish you all the very best and a blessed week.
Thank you so much, Erica, and we look forward to spending more time with you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our viewers who are watching us from different corners of the world and of the Philippines. So, yung mga suki natin from Sinea Arcilia from Hong Kong, thank you for listening here and God bless to you too. Of course, to Glenn Resurrection in Bacoor City. Miss Ling Ling Gonzalez, thank you so much for your many emojis of approval and blessings. Miss Oleas, Annalyn Olare, from Cavite. Thank you for your greetings. Mr. Francis Carriaga, magandang gabi po, attorney, at magandang gabi din sa inyong lahat. Here's a comment for our first segment from a so-called Rumpelstiltskin. So good evening, attorney. Agriculture Sciences seems to be a thriving college course in the States. So I wish it's the same in the Philippines. So that's part of what we are working on currently. The Philippines and the United States government had actually signed a joint statement on collaboration for higher education. And one of the priority areas is agricultural sciences. So we are trying to identify several higher educational institutions in the Philippines who would like to collaborate with American higher education institutions to develop further our field of agriculture sciences in the Philippines. Kasi hindi lang po ito talaga para sa pagsasaka, it's really the use of science and innovation in order to improve our food production and our food security. Thank you so much, Lynn Ray Rico Peña, watching from Zamboanga City. Ayan, good evening din sa inyong lahat dyan. Tolito Oretni, so God bless din sa inyo. And we have a question from one of our televiewers who's always tuned in to us, Annabella Colleen, for our second segment naman, watching from Rizal. Good evening, I have a question. What is the ultimate aim of extension program planning? As mentioned, one of the main functions of our educational institutions in higher education is really to extend our educational expertise outside of the community. So higher education is not only limited, of course, the students that we have, and of course, to the faculty members and the stakeholders, but very especially because we have a lot of experts and resources in our schools, universities, and colleges, we can go outside to the community in order to have them benefit from our educational institution. So we have a question also from RB Roses, watching from Cainta. So how do you see or evaluate an extension program, and what are the principles of extension? So definitely when we go through like the planning of extension program, so that's the very first step. We have a so-called PLOC framework, so planning, and then we are leading because we are identifying who and which resources are going to be put into the programs that we will have. Then you organize, or it's organizing how the program is going to be designed and developed. And once it is to be implemented, naturally, you have your control, monitoring, and evaluation. So that's how we would normally use a framework in the implementation of the extension program. So I'm so happy that all of you are able to join us tonight. We had a 2-week special with respect to the University of Tennessee Martin, where I am a senior scholar currently looking into the different collaborations that we could undertake and to bring it back to the Philippines when my time here is completed. So again, this is Attorney Amihan April M. ALCAZAR, and I'm wishing everybody to stay safe and healthy until next time. So please tune in to us every Wednesdays again, 7 to 8 in the evening, AAA Live, where your academic goals are advanced and achieved. At Katipunan channel, please like, follow, and subscribe to us. And until next time, God bless and stay safe, and good evening to everyone. Thank you.
AAA Live!
Inyong napakinggan si Attorney Amihan April ALCAZAR.
AAA Live!
Naway kinapulutan ninyo ng impormasyon at kaalaman ang talakayan ng mga ekspertong nakapanayam mula sa iba't ibang larangan ng edukasyon.
AAA Live!
Ang AAA Live ay mapakikinggan at mapanonood sa Katipunan Channel tuwing araw ng Miyerkules, alas 7 hanggang alas 8 ng gabi.
Where your academic goals will be advanced and achieved. AAA Live!
Hanggang sa muling pagtatanghal.